Good, 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 good noon. Okay, I am here again this week to present another part of, let's say, complicated area, the Middle East. But my partner Manisa, actually, she was supposed to be the one presenting first, and she's going to talk about Israel, Lebanon, Syria, and Israel. Did I mention? Yes, okay. But since she's not around, then we would just skip that and don't ask me questions about those countries, okay? That's not my part. I'm sorry. Okay, so I am going to talk about or share a little bit of what I have researched about the Arabian Peninsula. So when we say peninsula, this is a land area where surrounded with body of ocean. And when you say the opposite of that is the continent, right? The continent is where it is landlocked. There is no body surrounded with body of water. So Arabian Peninsula, let's check where it is located. But of course, these two contents, I have only two contents. We have the Arabian Peninsula, where I'm just going to introduce to you briefly, and then the states of the Arabian Peninsula. Where is it located then? So Arabian Peninsula is located in this area, and last week RT and I were talking about the Africa or the sub-Saharan Africa, and now we're moving to the east part where this is the Arabian Peninsula. Okay, so what are the countries there then? So we have all these 7 countries, a part of these states, Arabian states. We have Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, United Arab Emirates, Oman, and Yemen. So we can see that all of them are surrounded with body of ocean. And on the west side, there is the Red Sea, and in the east side, we have the Persian Gulf, and the southern side, we have the Arabian Sea. And I know that you are also aware that in here, there is the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, so again, it is a desert environment. It's an arid type B climate, which means it's dry and scarce and reliable rainfall. And the southern parts of this Arabian Peninsula are the most hottest places on Earth. And there are no natural lakes or major rivers in this peninsula, and water for agriculture depends on rainfall, oases, or seawater desalinization. So oases are just those lakes, like natural water where you can also grow some plants, but I think that is rare in this peninsula. And seawater desalination, we already heard that from Professor what this one is, the process separating the salt, and then it will be used for Yemen, like this, and their planting or agriculture. And then the major mountain chain is located among this area in the western part. Okay, so that's Arabian Peninsula. So of course, they are mostly Arabs, and their language is Arabic. And at the same time, it goes with the prominent and influential in Arab culture, the Islam, right? And then minerals are mined in the western part and the southern part mountains. And the largest Saudi Arabia is the largest and most oil-rich country, and while Yemen has the fewest oil resources. Okay, and now I just want to check whether you know their capital city. What is the capital city of Saudi Arabia? Riyadh. Okay. Kuwait.
City.
Oh, Bahrain.
Bahrain City.
Manama. And Qatar.
Doha.
UAE.
Abu Dhabi.
Oman. Muscat. And Yemen. Sana. Okay, very good. Thank you. And now I have just I have just organized all this. I don't want to put it in a separate slide, but I just want to put it in one slide so we can differentiate all of these states in Arabian Peninsula. So you can see that their GDP looks like that. So I know that you could compare that. And then P here means the population. population. You see the population in this line, and then the BPD, I put that as birth per day. Birth per day, how many babies born per day. And the DPD is the death per day. And the immigrations per day, the last one, the immigrations per day. And I think we know why the immigration in Yemen is decreasing. Because you can still see, even until now, there are a lot of war, right? So, of course, that's really dangerous to go. And then when we consider the area, land area, then these is their rank. Country, the word, largest country. And I just put like a note, like what if you're gonna ask, what about South Korea? South Korea is the 107th largest country, and Philippines is 72, and Bangladesh 94, and Uzbek is the 56th largest country. Okay? And let's just check their governance or politics, like monarchy. So absolute monarchy and hereditary or constitutional emirate. There are only two common leadership or monarchy or politics government in this area. So absolute monarchy is more on authoritarian. Everything is put to the ruler. So ruled by House of Saud, and then the king with significant executive power, Islamic law-based governance. But when you say hereditary or constitutional emirate, it is ruled by an emir, like Islamic, more on Islamic rules like this, and it is hereditary, okay. And I also just found out like there is the constitutional emirate and constitutional monarchy. Constitutional monarchy, it is more influence in the European side. It's British influence, but emirate is more on Islam, like this. Okay, and Yemen is really a complicated one, because Yemen is divided into a very, very complicated area, like the north and the south, like this. So there is this conflict, different religious beliefs. They have Shia and like this. Okay, so that just, of course, in my case, while I was just researching all of this, I also have a headache, because this is really complicated, and I am just sharing to you a very shallow one. Okay, so just please understand about that. I'm not an expert. I maybe when I do the master's degree, and I don't want to do that. Yes. Okay. So now let's have the population by nationality. So population by nationality in Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh people are the most, and in Kuwait, we have the Kuwaiti, and then next is the Indian. And you can see that there are also Filipinos. Yes, Filipinos, Bangladesh, yay. Okay, and then we have Bahrain, we have the other Asian, yes, and Syrian refugees, and what else? In Qatar, India, and Bangladesh too. Oh, and then in UAE, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines. And in Oman, we have India, Bangladesh, Palestine, and then Egypt, like this. Okay, and in Yemen, I couldn't find that kind of source where I can see the graph or chart. So I just have this one. Like there are Turkish people, most of them are Turkish people, and Indonesian, Malaysia, and Singapore, and Bangladesh and Philippines are not here, right? Okay, and now we're going to have the age distribution, because last week we were talking about that young people are the majority of those regions, right? But this time, let's see the difference, or is this also about young generation or young people? So in Saudi Arabia, most of them are 15 to 64. Okay, and then in Kuwait, we have the 25 to 54, and Bahrain 30 to 44. And the same thing with the Qatar, we have 30, 44, and UAE 30, 44, and Oman 30, 44, and Yemen, you have the under 15. Why do you think that in Yemen there are these most populated in these young people? I don't know.
They were killed.
Right, because they are in
Killed
war,
during the
right? They were
conflict.
killed, and then
But they
only
still
kids.
give birth. People wow, that's why I was surprised.
Oh,
A lot of babies were born, like more than like 3,000 during the war.
oh,
Yeah.
they were so active. Okay. Okay. And then
Wow.
now I'm just going to not really dig deeper, but just talk more of these states of the Arabian Peninsula. There are 7 of them, and they have their all different complicated stories. Yes, but I can't. Okay. So now Saudi Arabia, the kingdom of Saudi Arabia is the second largest Arab state. So it is the birthplace of the religion of Islam. We know that Mecca and Medina, yes, are located in this country or this region. So Saudi Arabia is called the land of 2 holy mosques, and there is this period of the year where a lot of tourists come to visit these 2 holy places, right? Okay. And yes, in 1902, Abdul Aziz Al Saud captured Riyadh, uniting the region under the House of Saud. So this is now the start of the absolute monarchy from this time. So in 1933, the region was renamed the King of Saudi Arabia and became an absolute monarchy. And in 1938, the U.S. oil corporation Chevron discovered large oil quantities sustaining the royal family. And the Aramco is Saudi Arabia's state-run oil corporation and controlling about 1/5 of the world's known oil reserves. Saudi Arabia's royal family claims considerable wealth and power. And here we have millions of foreign workers in petroleum are vital to the economy. So you can see the immigration of Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia seeks to align with globalization efforts in the Gulf states. So we have what are those Gulf states? These are just the neighboring countries like Kuwait, Bahrain, like this. And then during the first Persian War or Operation Desert Storm, Saudi Arabia sheltered Kuwaiti emir and citizens. Persian Gulf War Operation Desert Storm. Are you familiar with this one? It is like Iraq wanted to invade Kuwait because yes, and then they just want Kuwait to pay their debt. I attended a class last year, Middle East class, and it's like so Iraq asked Kuwait to pay off their debts, and the Iraq government sued Kuwait that they stole and selling Iraqi oil and overproducing. So they attacked Kuwait. Okay, and then the oil reserve, the second largest oil reserve is Saudi Arabia, and we can see the ranking here. So first is Venezuela, and the second is Saudi. Okay, and Saudi Arabian state laws support conservative Islamic ideals, including prohibition of gambling, alcohol consumption, and public promotion of other religion, because it is an absolute monarchy, right? And then alcohol and pork products are forbidden, following Islamic dietary laws, and movie theaters and other Western-style entertainment were prohibited until recently. The dress code strictly follows Islamic principles. We all know, we have seen a lot of this. Women wear black abayas and modest clothing, and men wear traditional full-length shirts and headcloths. And Saudi Arabia, they also have this human rights organization, local association, trade unions, and political parties are banned. It's a big no-no. And then opposition to the government can lead to arrest or imprisonment. Penalties include corporal and capital punishment, such as prison sentences, amputations, floggings, and beheadings for legal or religious offenses. So when I just saw this one, it's really scary, right? And then I include the major imports and the major exports of these specific seven states or countries. So first we have the import. They are importing much on the machinery and transport equipments, foodstuffs, animals, chemicals, and related products. And their major importers, we have China, and United States, and the purple one, UAE. And export, they almost entirely of petroleum and related products. China, that is their major export country. China, Japan, and India. And now let's go to Kuwait. Kuwait is known for its modern towers and desert landscape, ruled by an emir, constitutional or hereditary emirate from the royal family. High standard of living with free education. Heavy reliance on non-Kuwaiti migrant labor. So there are a lot of expats or migrant workers in Kuwait. And Philippines is also one of those. A lot of Filipinos are in Kuwait. And economy, immense oil reserves attract international investors. Petroleum exports are the main source, of course. Excellent port facilities in Kuwait. And major trade partners include East Asian countries and China. And their oil industry, first offshore oil well drilled in 1961. Known oil reserves about 104 billion barrels. And significant portions, as what I have just shown, no, not yet. It is the last one. Like exports to go to Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Singapore. And the Persian Gulf War, yes, so it's the Operation Desert Storm to liberate Kuwait from Iraqi occupation. War centered around control of oil resources, extensive environmental damage due to oil well fires and spills set by the retreating Iraqi forces. And did I include? In here, Saddam Hussein is still ruling after this conflict. Yeah, and the constitutional emirate, as what I have mentioned, and National Assembly has elected. Okay, and import. I think it's just similar to Saudi Arabia. They have machinery and transport equipment, manufactured goods, and food, and these are the countries. And export, we have almost entirely same as Saudi, petroleum and related products. And we have the India with 19.9% and 19% that's UAE. That is just very near, like south part of Kuwait. Yes. Okay. And Bahrain, despite its small size, Bahrain is really small. It's here, like this, and just when you just zoom it, and then you can see that one here. So despite its small size, Bahrain remains a critical center for trade and business in Persian Gulf. And it's a small archipelago, and it was colonized by Britain, and yeah, most of those countries, like seven, or not seven, but five, are colonized by Britain. And then Iran has made unsuccessful claims on the island. It's officially constitutional monarchy. Elections were approved in 1919, allowing parliament to be formed, women to vote, and political prisoners were released. And then their economy. The country's economy has traditionally centered on crude oil and natural gas production. Crude oil and natural gas production. Actually, I really don't know the difference between like crude oil and then petroleum, like this. So when you say crude oil is the natural oil. Raw material is a crude oil, raw material that is dig underground or under sea ground, water, like this, or under the ocean or under the sea. And then when you say petroleum, it is the combination of crude oil, the raw material, plus other oil. Yeah. And then Bahrain has built on its long-standing tradition in shipping and commerce, successfully developing manufacturing, commercial, and financial sectors more than other Gulf states. And then the non-oil economic sectors, including petrochemicals and so on. And okay, so in here they produce 189 barrels per day as of 2023. And despite diversification efforts, oil and gas remain the major sources of government revenue, oil and gas. Okay, and the import crude petroleum brought in underwater, yes, I wanted to say that, pipeline from Saudi Arabia to be refined. And their major import sources, we have China and other. I wanted to really check what does this other really mean. And then UAE and Brazil. And export refined petroleum products, aluminum goods. So you can check this one there. And Saudi Arabia. Okay, it's absolute monarchy and the third largest natural gas reserve in the world. And economy, before oil discovery and production, Wait, why is it?
Qatar.
It's Qatar. Yeah, I just read Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry. Okay, my bad. And before oil discovery and production, Qatar's economy was primarily based in pearling, fishing, and limited trade. But in 1938, exploratory drilling began, and the following year, oil was discovered. And in 1949, production of crude oil officially began. And in 1970s, then it just prospered. Like the rise of oil income, native Qataris achieved some of the highest per capita incomes worldwide. Okay, original oil concession was granted to the IPC, and the early oil concession were nationalized in the 1970s. And economy, the oil and gas exports are the main economic drivers. Economy is rapidly growing with high standard of living, and there is a push for private foreign investment in non-energy sectors like banking and finance. Their import, similar to the other previous countries, like machinery and transport equipment, manufactured goods, food and live animals. So I think we can also guess why they have this kind of products, because they are desert, their environment, so they can't really grow much of these food crops. Yeah, that's right. Okay, and we have the export: LNG, liquefied natural gas, crude petroleum, refined petroleum. Okay, and now let's go to UAE. Please bear with me. Okay, Abu Dhabi, yes, is the capital city, and the head of Abu Dhabi royal family is the head of state for the UAE, as the second largest economy in the Middle East after Saudi Arabia. So dominated again with petroleum, and the wealthiest of the Emirates. Abu Dhabi contains one of the largest concentrations of world's proven oil reserves, and the Emirate of Dubai, whose economy is centered more on business than oil. And except Dubai, the UAE are extremely reliant upon oil, which makes up roughly 85% of the country's export. Tourism is also major industry, and it is also the home of the world's most luxurious accommodations. But banking, commerce, and real estate are the major industries, and it is also known for upholding great business policies, and is considered one of the least corrupt countries in the world. I think we could also see that, right, through their infrastructure when we visit. I haven't been there, but just pictures. Okay, and we have the import sources, the same thing, and there is this gold, precious stones, and foods, and the export petroleum and natural gas. That is obvious. And then let's go to Oman, absolute monarchy, oil income, and they have this free trade zone with giant container port, because we can see their location. It's here, right? So it's easier and accessible, I think. So giant container port, luxury tourist hotels, and a good road system, and the first-rate international airport. And it's largely in agriculture, fishing, and overseas trading. And since discovery of the oil in 1964, petroleum revenues have accounted for roughly 40%. And yes, grows a lot of bananas, mangoes, alfalfa, wheat, vegetables, melons, and other states. Okay, and same thing. Okay, and their import, major sources, United, Saudi Arabia, China. And then export, crude oil, refined petroleum, and natural gas. And let's go to the last one, the second largest in the region, with 2,000 kilometer coastline. It's located here. So one of the oldest civilization, and the first country in the Arabian Peninsula to give women the right to vote. Economy, oil accounts for nearly, okay, so it looks like this one. They have this here, they produce this crude oil in these places. But as what I have just mentioned a while ago, that Yemen has very complicated policies, like they are really divided, a lot of civil wars, they are really fighting. And at the same time, I'm not pretty sure, but there is this like stealing of their natural resources. And then Yemen has been plagued by civil unrest and war for a long time now, and the government relies heavily on the grants just to meet its basic needs. And we can see, as yes, I mentioned this one, like the North Yemen and the South Yemen, they have different perspectives, so that's why there is this conflict between these two areas. But not just that, but there are small regions too, like there are 4. And yes, the major imports, the same thing. And major exports, coffee, cotton goods, and hides and skins. Hides is like the big animals, like this. And now last time I concluded a bit of sharing to you the books that I have read about like the African authors, but today I am just going to share this to you. I know that already, or maybe some already saw this one, but this is one of the, let's say, impressive. I can't forget, or I can't move on with this one here. So when you ask what's the relationship then with China, Russia, and US to the Middle East, so you can see here that we have support, cooperation, opposition, the black arrow, the government intervention, military intervention. So there are 7 states in Arabian Peninsula. We have the Saudi Arabia, UAE, Yemen, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman. So what is their relationship then? So in like US, where is it connected then? That's it.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. So it's support and cooperation. So I think we just have to look closely to this part here. And
Where did you get the source from?
From Miguel's class.
yes, from our professor, and I already asked her permission about this one, and I also searched it on the source. Like, so I just put where we can find it, like
Because one of her
dissertation, like this.
All right, so it's from an article.
Yes.
All right.
And I'm not so sure, but the one who did this one is a Japanese,
Oh, great.
right? Yes. So you can see the relationship among these 3 big countries and the Middle East relationship. Yeah, so I think I will just end my presentation here. And, okay, thank you.
Well done. Any questions? Dr. Marvin?
Nice presentation. And, you mentioned like a lot of things, but the thing is, I think you didn't mention about tribes. Like, let's say the Saudi Arabia, these countries' identity, like they had tribes, right? Like they were called Badawi, which means they just rode camels, horses, and then they had this kind of tribunal structure. So my question is, how does this tribunal identity still influences the social structure, political decision making, this kind of things in the society in the Gulf countries?
Oh, okay. I would apologize that I am not really aware. I didn't know even the term that you have mentioned, but only in movies I saw that one. But I travel. How let's say, how did they influence?
Still influence. How does tribunal like structure, tribunal identity influence like social structure in the society and like political decision making? Yeah.
I have no idea.
You can give her more information about the structure.
Like for example, Saudi Arabia, like before they were just like they were not like living there, just they were like living just tribes, just by tribe, yeah. And then like for example, United Arab Emirates, like these kind of tribes just got united, and then they just became United Arab Emirates, like this kind of like Gulf countries, Arabs like lived like this as a tribe, yeah. And then still this how to say, the tribunal system is not really major, but it really still influences in the social structure in the society, like when it comes to like having some political like decision making, this kind of thing. So I just wanted to ask your opinion.
For now, I can't really say or have the right answer for that, because I really don't have any idea. And if you can wait, I will do a research and give you the answer. But yes, I'm so sorry, really.
From my personal experience, I had worked with the Sharjah, one of the 7 UAE sort of emirates, and I actually had a Zoom conference with the princess of Sharjah, and she founded several universities, and her whole family was sort of very much keen on public initiatives. So my impression was, and it felt like a family business, but then they're very public minded. And we saw from the African case that a lot of these African elites, they're very wealthy. I was really surprised, and they're actually wealthier than a lot of South Korean people. But one of the major problems is that they actually seek profit personally out of the deals with the foreign partners. But my impression with the family businesses in a lot of the countries that you mentioned, especially the UAE, and Bahrain, in those countries, even though they're run by tribes and the families, the ruling elites, they're very much into public minded, and they do seek the benefit. So I was actually wondering what was the difference? Why they actually had they could actually make a difference? Because Yemen is the only democratic country, but then it has a lot of civil conflicts. Whereas other countries is sort of monarchs, but then it's peaceful, and then they're promoting businesses and finances, but it has a non-democratic political structure. So I was actually thinking, I was actually questioning what were the difference, what were the factors that made the difference. Although some of the countries do not have a democratic countries, they still run very well. So what would be the main reasons for that? Yeah, I wanted to ask that question to you too. Yeah. Any other questions? We want some questions from one of you guys. Didn't ask any questions before.
She presented really well.
Alright. Good comment. Yeah, that's good.
I had a question
Mm-hmm.
for Saudi Arabia. So you mentioned everything is alcohol or pork is banned, or also Western entertainment is banned, right? But I think they are opening up these days. They're bringing Western influence and also sports and everything. So why do you think the sudden change of policies? And do you think as the birthplace of Islam, this is a major shift towards cultural change?
Okay. The one that I have just shown to you, actually I just read the material we have in the class. Professor uploaded on LMS, so that's why I put that on here. But then you mentioned that it is now open, right? So if I am going to say that, of course that's a major change, right? I don't know really the behind reason for that, but maybe because I don't know if it's correct or wrong, but maybe of being part of the bigger picture.
Organization.
Maybe.
Can you explain the bigger picture?
People explain the bigger. I don't know. Let's say, yes, it's really hard for me because I choose Middle East presentation because I also want to know more on this because I am not good at this part. Really, so because if I'm not good at this, then I just challenge myself to let's just find some information. But digging it deeper like this, I also need professor giving her knowledge of what she has. So I am ready to listen. But then these question makes me, I can't.
All right. I mean that's a very frank response. Do you have any ideas why there's a change in terms of culture, more openness?
I think it's kind of washing their money. They only depend on oil, right? So they're trying to diversify their economy.
Yeah, for sure.
So for example, they are sports washing their money, Bahrain big clubs in Europe, and also like they bought a big,
Yeah.
I think EA, like
Yeah.
one of the biggest video game companies.
Yeah.
So they're like trying to diversify their portfolio.
Right.
So they don't have to rely on oil maybe in the future.
Yeah.
But for cultural reasons, I think I'm not sure. Like
Mm.
it's haram for Islam to do this type of thing, and the birthplace of birthplace of Islam, and they're doing this type of activities. That I'm not sure.
I have a question because I mean some of you, all of you are no, some of you are Muslim, right?
Yeah.
So according to the religious belief of Islam, can you watch those like sports and like, I mean, is it okay Hollywood like movies? Is it okay? You no? You're not supposed to, but you still watch. So you can't, right? But you do, right? But there is no law, right?
There is law. There is a law.
There is a law? Okay, what's the law? What does the law say?
According to Sharia law, I think we are prohibited to like watch other women's too.
Oh, you're not allowed to watch me.
That is one of the reasons that we cannot watch movies, because there are like actress and then other women's and also the music.
Really?
Yeah, so the thing is, like in Hollywood movies,
Yeah.
like, there are so many good Hollywood movies, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the idea the movie is bringing is so great. So when Muslim countries, like especially like Muslim majority countries, are buying the Hollywood movies,
Yeah.
they just translate into their language, Arabic, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
let's say Uzbekistan. So when they are translating the language, they make sure to cut like certain scenes which are not really good. So they will just
alright,
edit it
okay,
again
not to
for
make it too
themselves.
obscene.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
it makes more halal, let's say.
But who makes the judgment whether it's halal or not?
It is according to the Quran.
So, but they don't know
It
the
was written
specific of
almost
the.
like 1400 years ago.
No, but then they don't have the specifics of which part of Hollywood movie they have to
Now it is
erase
decided
or.
by scholars.
Oh, the scholars decide. Oh.
They are like experts who knows about the whole laws. They study about it for years, and then
Alright.
they become called mufti.
Mufti?
They just give the judgment about this.
Professor, I think something that is not educational is prohibited. We can't watch and waste our time.
Really? But I have a question. Like, I mean, so who decides which is because it's a value judgment, and everybody has a different opinion.
It's from our holy book, so we all have to follow that because we believe that there is no other way.
So this is a very different worldview.
It's more spiritual. Like you can't like ask questions about your faith. You just have to believe on it. That's it.
But some people might think that this is education, and some people might think that this is not educational. So who decides which is educational or not? Some people think that they might have a look at the naked body of a woman, but they still think, oh, it's arts. So they don't really feel anything. Whereas, a lot of Western arts has a lot of naked bodies inside, but they still consider it arts. But whereas, some people think, wow, and then that becomes obscene. Right, so it's a value judgment, and then this is what ethics does. We have a lot of discussions on whether it's ethical or not, educational or not.
In general,
Yeah.
Who's talking?
In general, whichever objectifies a woman and it gives us a bad vibe in our mind permanently, that is prohibited for us. So basically, it's not like that it is educational or not. Basically, it's the ethicality that objectifies a woman in a bad way or in a vulgar way that is prohibited. And the Holy Book Quran is a calligraphic book. You have to read it, you have to understand it, and there is no scholar who gives us the rule. It's not the way. The book gives us the rule, and is the best book that shows how to lead a life. That's all.
That's a very good description of the Quran, and I respect it. I mean, I think it has to be a separate discussion. But like, nice question. Culturally, how much can you be open?
One more additional thing
all right,
is,
okay.
like about, like you mentioned about the art, right? Like
Yeah.
I watched one Iranian, I think it was Iranian like TV show, like which is a sports.
All right.
So it was like woman running, you know, like on the like it was just a running Olympics, something like this. So they wore really tight and kind of open clothes.
Yeah.
And the Iranian government, how to say, they still like showed it, but they blurred the body.
Oh.
Okay, just how to say.
But it makes it more sexual if you were to do it. Like, seriously?
But it is.
Oh no. Okay, it's a different question, but yeah.
As you said, that showing naked body is kind of part of art, so it might be for some part of society or community. For example, consuming marijuana in South Korea is prohibited and illegal. But some people, some part of people will call, said we are just consuming vegetables.
Yeah.
So this is their belief and this is Koreans' belief. So we have to respect, maybe I think we have to respect everyone's beliefs and laws. And
See, you're saying a very subjective value judgment state. So that was my question. So who decide which is like right and wrong and true and yeah.
it's according to our belief.
But it's people have different interpretation of the book. Even the Bible has a lot of different interpretations. So
But mostly the Quran has also different interpretation according to many muftis, because the book is written almost like 1400 years
exactly.
ago. So
Yeah.
nowadays those scholars like try to get into simple term after having a meeting between them, because they have to also think over it, that how should they give the judgment, because people like us, we don't know much about our religion, like in a deeper context, we know only the basics. So we just follow that, and if someone is more curious, then they try to learn about it. So we just, for now, we just rely on those scholars, because they have studied on this for a long time, and there are like several scholars around the world from different parts of the world. So when we see that many people from different parts are giving the
Different
same kind of
interpretations.
references and also saying the same thing, so we take it as a right way. That's it. And even if like some people have confusions, they can like search for themselves within the books and other resources available to find it. So mostly there were not much conflict about those opinions of those scholars, because they also like think several times and discuss with others before giving a judgment about something, because they are not giving the judgment by themselves.
Right.
They are also
Yeah.
relying on the book and trying to understand and make people more aware about the situation. That's it. And about us, like watching the movies and listening to music, nowadays we are like trying to more globalize to the world, because the world is like running this way, and we people are not so much religious, because we do not pray 5 times a day. It is according to our law, we must pray 5 times a day, and praying doesn't take much time. In the morning it takes around like 2 to 3 minutes, and only the noon and the night time it takes around like 7 to 8 minutes, but we don't even do that. We spend more time on listening to music, watching movies,
Right.
because
Yeah.
we're not that much religious.
Right.
That's why we do this.
Yeah, so I think it's important to discuss about this so that we we actually get to think about different standards and different values people might have on the same text or the same phenomena. But I think the culture aspect, I think, is a big point on the Middle East as well, because it's rapidly changing there as well. All right.